3-foot RGB kit. It's going to come in a box, kind of like this. You're going to find 3 feet of flex strip LED RGB in there. You're going to find your remote and color changing controller, a DC coax connector, which will hook up to your power supply. That's the other part of your power supply. And you get 3 connectors to go from your strip to your controller. First thing you're going to want to do is pull out the strip, make sure there's no damage to it. Let's not put that on fire. It should come coiled up. There should be no big bends or creases in the strip. And then pull this here out of the package. Now what you need for the setup is a small screwdriver, kind of like this one. It's a flathead. Here, this is how we make our connections. The wire goes in the hole on the side, and then you screw this down to tighten the wire in. We'll get to that in a second. So, where we're going to start. We're going to start by stripping these wires. Here, we're going to have wire strippers. You got to be careful not to cut off too much of the wire. So when you go to cinch down on it, don't go too deep, or else you're gonna cut off the wire port, and that's no go. So you can see about how much I'm snipping off there. Now what we're doing here is we're going to do a 3-foot, well, it's only about a little less than 3 feet underneath the cabinet. And a little bit later, this is going to become a bar. And we're going to transform this little section for the party we're about to have. And help set the mood. Alright. Now on this controller, you see there's RGB and then a plus sign. Red goes to red, green goes to green, blue goes to blue, and black goes to the positive sign. Okay? So it's going to want to be like this here. I'm going to plug this in. I'm going to back it out. And I didn't preset any of this stuff up, so it'd be as much like when you get it as possible. You might have to back the screws out a little bit, so it'll give the wire some space to go in there. You might also have to fold over the wire slightly to make it a little bit thicker so that screw will grab onto it. So now they're folded over and a little bit thicker. I also like to separate these wires out like this, so it makes it easier when you put them in there. Get in there nice and far. You don't want really any wire exposed when it's in there. Once you tighten it down, oh, see, it didn't go. Alright, we've gotten the LED controller, the wires lined up and secured. You want to pull on each one and make sure that it's well secured in there. What can happen is if those aren't secured, your lights may not turn on a certain color. Like you'll be able to get green and blue, but your red won't function if the red's loose. Now what we're going to do is we take our female DC connector. The red is going to go to the positive side, the plus, and the black is going to go to the negative. So we slide it in there and we screw it down. I also stripped these wires as well while the camera wasn't rolling. Try and save you some time. Same deal. This one feels a little loose, so we're going to back that out. Try it again. If it doesn't work, we'll fold it over. Still kind of loose. this up. I've also found that if you don't back the screw out enough, that the wire won't get in there very deep and you'll not get a secure fit. If you back it out too much, that screw will come out, and if you're on carpet or something crazy, then you can lose the screw, and that'll be a bad day for you. Alright, they're both in there nice and tight. So that's pretty much the wiring you need to do to set up your RGB kit right there. Next piece, we've got the LED driver, power supply. That plugs right into that end. That obviously goes to your wall, your 110. This right here, this end, plugs into this. And this is going to plug into strip. Now before we go setting it up and taping it to the wall, or not taping it, but sticking it to the wall and all that, we're going to test the controller. So we have from the wall comes the power supply to the female coax, which goes into the controller. Controller does its little magic, it comes out into your solderless connector. So now what we're going to do is we're going to plug the RGB solderless connector to the strip so that we can test it before we hook it all up. Now the tray, the black part of the solderless connector goes to the bottom of the strip. So the strip sits on the black piece and slides up. You can already see it. So we're going to go through the remote functions. Turn the device on and off. There's a power button in the bottom right corner. We turn it on. We can also pause at any particular time within the functions. So I'll unpause it. We can change the speed. Right now we're on a pulse function, so we can speed it up to more of a flash, like a strobe, or we can slow it way down to where it's nice and really slow. Now, the mode, we go through the pulse and the different colors. Speed it back up here for you. Change the mode again, you can see we're going through the colors. That's the white. This is what I call the chameleon. It kind of fades between the different colors, which is nice when you slow it down, I think is that's best. Alright. Solid state red, we can dim or brighten. Green, blue, yellow, magenta, turquoise, white. This is like the ultra strobe function right here. Slowed it down, and this is all the different. These are the different colors that we can go through on this remote here. And back to the pulse. Turn the device off. Now at this point, we're ready to figure out how far we need to cut the strip, and then we'll peel the backing off. Let's put it up. You can also see that on the controller, there's these two little notches right here. Take a couple little wood screws, and then you screw it right up, and that'll mount up underneath the cabinet. You can see how thin it is. It'll hide real nice up underneath there. You'll never know it's there. Now we got our strip cut. What we're going to do is we're going to secure our controller to underneath the cabinet. Our kits do not come with the screws you need to do this, so you can go to your local hardware store and to pick those up. Depending on if it's a cabinet or if it's something you can use a longer screw on, that's why we don't put them in. So just a little flathead screwdriver or whatever type of head you got. You want to figure out where you're going to place it. So now that we got the controller hooked up underneath the cabinet, we're going to go ahead and pull the backing 3M stickiness off the back of the strip. What's funny is I'm doing this right before a party kicks off for the party, so I don't have too much time left. As you can see, the kit goes up pretty quick, just in a few minutes. So pull the backing off, make sure all of our stuff lines up. So let's see here. Red, so it's actually going to start on the other side. We got people walking in the door. Almost there. So the positive goes to the black, and then red, green, blue goes to red, green, blue. So we're up in the tray. Before I stick it, I want to try it one more time, make sure it works. Alright, so it works. Make sure all our colors work. There's our blue, and we want to make sure that blue wouldn't be like that if there wasn't some green. That wouldn't be like that if there wasn't green. Okay, so that means that all of our different colors are working. I'll turn the controller off, peel off the stickiness. And then once we stick this, the last thing we really got to do is hide all of our cords. Now that comes down kind of to you and how, try and get it centered as much as possible. It comes down to you and how much time you want to spend on it. For tonight, because the party's going on and this is turning into a bar, and usually I won't have the power supply here, I'm not going to spend too much time worrying about how to hide the power supply, because there's going to be a bunch of bottles and drinks and maybe a blender and stuff there, so I ain't got to worry about it. And then when it's not running, when I'm not having this section, and it's my normally daily routine kind of stuff, I can just quickly and easily disconnect my DC connector, and that'll be all tucked up and hidden, and you'll never know that I have, we just tied in a little knot here, you'll never know that I have a color changing light tucked up in here. So this is so we can transform it for the party and then put it back together quickly and easily. Put this here, run this wire up in here, hook it up real quick, and like I said, there'll be bottles and stuff in front of it so you won't ever notice it. Now, gotta get ready for the next of the party.